So we now have Vesa, who's the founder of Hatch Entertainment, and who I know from my previous experience of his presentations are pretty good. So let's welcome him, and he is going to talk about cloud gaming and eSports on 5G. And I think this is particularly interesting because a lot of telecom operators are looking to this sector for growth. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Annie, and really my pleasure to be here. I'd really like to shift gears here a bit and, of course, not talk that much about the underlying technology, but what that can enable, and having a bit kind of a perspective on how gaming, we believe, will be significantly disrupted with 5G and the opportunities that will be bringing. Pretty quickly, let me try to get my, okay, here we go. Quickly about myself. So I'm Vesa. Like Annie said, I'm one of the co-founders of Hatch Entertainment. We are one of the mobile cloud gaming pioneers. The company was established in 2016, so we've been around now close to 5 years. And we've been really focusing on offering cloud gaming experience over mobile networks, focusing on mobile gaming, and working very closely with big telcos and device manufacturers who've been bringing 5G services to the market and offering them a great showcase and use case to demonstrate the power of 5G. And being one of the pioneers, of course, has been a kind of dream come true for me. I'm a lifelong gamer, and in this role I've been traveling the world, meeting with all the greatest game studios around the world, and of course being very deeply discussing with all the key players in the industry what's happening in the space, where people think things are going. And like I said already earlier, we believe that 5G will have a very key role in bringing gaming in new ways to more the mass audiences going forward. But a couple of words about gaming, and it's good to know that gaming is already mainstream entertainment. So it's not something that's only for the younger kids or teenagers. It's really mainstream. Gaming as a business is already way bigger than any other entertainment in the world. So it's bigger than the Hollywood box office and music industry combined. Video gaming is around 150 billion in revenues at the moment and growing really fast. And if you look at the gamers who are actually spending time with video games and spending money on gaming, it's pretty mainstream audience. So it's not only the young people, it's really kind of the middle-agers, people over 30-year-old who are spending a lot of time with games. Smartphones is the primary platform for people to access gaming. It's also, mobile gaming is the fastest growing segment of the gaming. Also from the gender split perspective, it's pretty equal. It's roughly 50-50 male, female, who are spending their time on games. And one area what we see very interesting as well is family gaming. There's a lot of families spending time together with video games, and there's a lot of learning and educational aspects that gaming can provide to younger children. So it's a very interesting area, and of course, from this perspective, also a very interesting business opportunity when you think about now new possibilities. Then you can start offering gaming as an on-demand service, for example, over 5G networks. One of the key trends really lately has been cloud gaming. If you look at time when we got started, 2016, there was very little talk about cloud gaming. When we went to kind of meet with game studios, publishers, people were saying that, why would somebody want to stream a game, and is there demand for this one, and are there any benefits, and can you really stream games, because games are fully interactive, two-way experiences. The technology will never be good enough to enable true streaming-based cloud experiences. But now lately, when you look at the headlines in the industry, it's really one of the most hyped topics. So everybody is now looking into the cloud gaming space. And you have all the big tech giants like Microsoft's and Google's and others getting into the space. And one thing I wanted to highlight here, I took this quote from EA, saying that when you combine these cloud-based gaming services with subscription model, it actually can lower the barriers to gaming even more. And I wanted to show this quote from Andy Wilson, the CEO of Electronic Arts, EA, one of the biggest game studios on the planet. So he was also saying this, that, you know, of course, we've seen it in all the other forms of entertainment already, that on-demand and subscription model is really what the people love. All the music we consume almost today is based on subscriptions, based on streaming, with Netflix, HBOs, Hulus, everything what we watch in TV is already pretty much streaming based. It's on demand. And that's the kind of paradigm what the consumers really value. This on-demand consumption model, that you can choose the right time, the right place for you to access entertainment. And now when this is also coming to gaming, we believe that will really be the killer application for many people out there to access gaming in new ways as well. And like I said earlier, mobile gaming being the biggest and the fastest growing part of the gaming industry, of course, 5G will play a very, very significant role to enable this for the mass market audiences. So just to summarize, what are the benefits of delivering gaming as a cloud-based experience? Of course, the same as with Netflix or Spotify, press play to play. Very easy, instant access to gaming. You don't need to do any downloads. You don't need to go to app stores, download files, install those to your devices. You don't need to worry about software updates. You don't need to worry about storage space on your devices. You just press play and the game starts. The other key element what cloud gaming brings is this true cross-platform support. Many games today are already cross-platform, that, you know, you can play with your PC or with your mobile phone, but typically they are very isolated silos that you need to choose. When we are running the games in the cloud, the user can totally seamlessly choose what device is handily available to use for your gaming experience. It can be a phone, it can be a TV, it can be a PC. Basically, when running the games in the cloud, any internet-capable screen could become your gaming terminal going forward. Then, of course, gaming, when done in the cloud, has the great benefit for me as a user, end user, that I don't need to anymore worry about whether I have the latest generation of a game console, if my phone is able to support this new game or not, because we are taking use of the cloud-based infrastructure. We can allocate as much memory, as much CPU power to the games as we want on the cloud side. And then I can just basically focus on consuming and enjoying the experience when I want it. And this is, of course, really good news for the game developers as well, that they no longer need to support and worry about the fragmentation of the different platforms and the different devices the end users might be using. They can just focus on delivering one version of their game to the cloud gaming server side, and then that version can be streamed to different terminals, to different people, and the cloud provider, the cloud gaming provider, will handle the fragmentation. And this is actually a very, very important part, because for game developers, it's actually a very, very huge undertaking to handle the fragmentation and support different platforms, especially because games typically today are kind of living beasts, so that you keep updating the games, bringing new features, there are live operations, you run competitions, you do new things on the games all the time. So games have become more kind of 24/7 services instead of something monolith what you just send and put out for once. And with this kind of very dynamic operating environment, getting rid of this fragmentation is super, super powerful proposition to the game developers. And then, of course, ultimately, when you run the games in the cloud, in the secure data centers, you don't need to worry about security, piracy, there's no hacking. One area where this is extremely important is eSports, especially competitive gaming, where it's a big issue today that when people are playing competitive games against each other and those games are downloaded to their devices, of course, there's always a risk that somebody can hack the game and has some kind of unfair advantages by kind of aiming bots and you name it to help them to play better and succeed in the competition. So we can take care of the whole security and piracy and hacking layer when doing the games delivered. Then if you look at the landscape overall in the industry, so of course, in gaming, the current paradigm has been based on the offline downloads based model. So whether it's the mobile games market or the PC and console games market, the gaming is today built around app stores. So places you go to find a game, you download the game and install that to your device, and then you're off to go to play the game. But like explained, we see now that there is this emerging paradigm called cloud gaming, which is now pretty fast moving into the space. And especially if you look at the PC and console games market, you have all these major tech companies investing in this space. You have Microsoft with xCloud, Google with Stadia. In China, Tencent is already running their own cloud gaming service. Sony has their PlayStation Now. There's the NVIDIA GeForce Now, and so forth. Of course, these are just examples, but there's a lot of focus and attention and investment going into the cloud gaming space, targeting the PC and console games market. Whereas at the same time, we are still pretty much the only company focusing on delivering cloud gaming over mobile networks with the mobile gaming focus and having a solution which is already tested, proven, and live out in the market. So it's kind of a pretty virgin space where we've been operating, but of course it's been a very great thing for us being one of the pioneers in this space, that now when the 5G rollouts have started to happen around the world and all the big operators and device vendors have been looking for great showcase examples and 5G services to offer to their consumer segment, we've had a pretty strong position in the space because there hasn't been pretty much anything else available for this mobile games-led cloud gaming market space. So just a couple of words how we have positioned the service for Hatch. So this is kind of our tagline, that we promise to bring a massive collection of great high quality games to you in one app. And this is all done with the streaming model. And this is of course very compelling and also very familiar about value proposition to consumers who are already enjoying this model with their music or TV consumption. But of course we are focusing the experience around some of the cornerstones of the value proposition what we are delivering. First of all, this instant play is very important. And of course, people are used to this with Spotify. You want to listen to a song from Madonna, you just press play and the song starts. The same way we can now let people experience games. You just go to our app, you find a game, you press play and the game starts. The other strong pillar, of course, is that we bring a big collection of games, which always with you. And here comes the kind of the cross-platform support as well, that, you know, you can grab any phone, or you can even access the service from your smart TV, and you can continue playing the game which you played yesterday. It's always there waiting for you, and it's really well accessible without you to worry anything about where to find the game I played the previous time. And talking about the devices support, of course, it's good to remember that when you are designing a game for a small screen like a smartphone or a big screen like a PC or TV, a bit different games tend to be more optimal for the different end user devices. But of course, ultimately, the users are looking for the cross-platform support in their gaming experiences. So that is, of course, something we also want to offer. And we're actually also working on the VR support as well, to bring new kind of VR driven gaming experiences over cloud as well. And another aspect what we see as a key driver for gaming, and this is of course what can really boost the gaming on 5G, is this kind of social aspect of gaming, that it's not really about you playing games by yourself, but being able to join games where your friends are inviting you, having competitive gaming modes, following leaderboards, what your friends are doing, sharing gameplay with voice chat. And one thing what is really big today is this kind of game streaming, when it comes to Twitch, or that, you know, the good gamers are streaming their gameplay for other people to watch, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch or some other platform. With cloud gaming, it becomes very easy that, you know, even when I'm playing a game, I can choose to share my game stream with my friends, and they can kind of become spectators, and they can even then decide easily to jump into the game. So it becomes interactive. So all in all, we believe that designing games and bringing more kind of social aspects to gaming will become much more interesting when you put the games to the cloud, because it will allow the developers to do a much more interesting and novel game concept that wouldn't be possible without the cloud infrastructure. And like I said earlier, so another aspect where we see a lot of interest and potential in the market is the family gaming. And we have also launched now a targeted service for the younger children called Hatch Kids. And that is something we are also working very closely with operators who want to address the family segment and have this kind of more edutainment driven offering to offer to parents who are looking for some ways to have quality time with their children over apps and games that also have the learning and educational aspects in them. So what we've been seeing now is that cloud gaming is the perfect use case for 5G when you talk about the B2C segment of the market. And we believe that it will continue being so. And of course, as all the major telecom operators and device manufacturers are rolling out 5G at the moment, we believe that we will be seeing a lot of cloud gaming propositions also being brought to the market by different companies. And this is of course a great opportunity for operators, for example, to showcase in a very concrete way to consumers that what's the benefit of 5G. That's what I've been hearing from my partners I've been working with, that many of them have been struggling to find out that how do we get our consumers excited about 5G so that they are willing to upgrade to 5G plan, that they are willing to upgrade to a new 5G phone. And 5G, when done with the cloud gaming proposition, is a very simple thing to demonstrate to your users and use as a showcase that, yes, actually with 5G, I can do more and I can experience things better that would be possible otherwise. So like you see here, we've already been working with many of the big brands around the world, and we've been learning a lot. What does it actually mean to roll out 5G gaming service in a real 5G network? And one interesting learning we have is that when people have been rolling out 5G services, they always talk about the network speed, whether it's 1000 megabits per second or whatever. But when you talk about application like gaming and cloud gaming, it's actually not that much about the speed. It's more about the latency, the low latency what 5G can deliver. And we've been learning a lot that it actually is a very different exercise to optimize your 5G network end-to-end for the latency instead of speed. And that's also one thing where we've seen that our partners have been benefiting a lot from working with Hatch, is that Hatch has been providing them a great test bed to really optimize their 5G networks from the latency perspective. Of course, on the enterprise solutions side, on the B2B side, there are more applications which are very latency sensitive. But when it comes to the consumer market, cloud gaming seems to be currently one of the only ones that is really kind of very sensitive to latency and underlying stability of the connection. So there's not really any room for hiccups and jitter and so forth when you want to play games over 5G network. Just an example, so Vodafone is our key partner in Europe. We launched last year with their 5G services in all their 4 big markets in Europe: UK, Spain, Italy, and Germany. And they've been really kind of happily using Hatch as a showcase what a Vodafone 5G network can offer. But one other area what we've also seen as a very exciting thing going forward is how to use 5G to take eSports to mainstream audiences with 5G. And we've been working with our partners on the eSports space very heavily during the last 12 months or so. And we've seen that, you know, it's a great way, for example, you can showcase 5G in consumer events. I think this is from the TubeCon event from Stockholm a year ago, where we arranged a eSports cloud gaming tournament. We've been also working with our operator partners to attract footfall to retail stores. This is what we did with Elisa in Finland. They arranged the Elisa 5G League across different Elisa retail stores with a real 5G network. People could come into the stores and play competitive tournaments in a real 5G network with 5G phones. We also seen that you can really engage with your business partners in new ways when you offer some kind of exciting experiences for them to play with. This is an example we did with Sprint in the US last year. They arranged this kind of big 5G gaming event in Los Angeles and invited a lot of their business partners there, many influencers from the gaming industry to be there to play within the Sprint 5G network to experience things in real life. And we've also gone as far as arranging huge sports arena level eSports tournaments with having real competitors playing the finals on the big stage in the sports stadium in a real 5G network with real 5G devices. This one is an event we partnered with OnePlus, where the players were using the OnePlus 5G devices in a real 5G network last autumn. So maybe to summarize, so cloud gaming is definitely going to lower the barriers to gaming, and that will grow the market even further. So like I said, so gaming is already a huge market. Mobile gaming is already the biggest part of the market. And we believe that 5G will be boosting that even further. There will be new players emerging in the industry, like I explained. And we also believe that the telcos can take a much more bigger role in gaming now when gaming becomes a more kind of an on-demand service what they can offer to their existing subscribers. Like I said, cloud gaming is the perfect use case for 5G, and there will be these new business opportunities you can go and tap on, especially the eSports enabled by 5G can be a super exciting thing, what we think that you will be seeing a lot going forward.
Thank you very much. It's pretty amazing.
This was a very quick run through, but I'm happy to answer any questions if somebody might have on what we've been doing. So
we need to be quick because it's a break time, but thank you, that's interesting. And I think the scale of eSports, which I wrote about recently, is kind of really amazing. So one of our attendees asks, what lessons is the industry taking from the launch of Google Stadia, which was the first game streaming service, and it didn't work out. So I don't know if you want to comment on that or not, really.
Yeah, well, we were actually live with our service before Google Stadia came out. So, but Stadia, like mentioned, so they've been focusing on the AAA PC and console gaming, which is a very difficult segment from getting the performance and the streaming performance at the right level. With Stadia, you basically need a very good quality broadband connectivity to play the games. And from that perspective, of course, especially initially, there was people struggling getting a good experience. But I'm sure that Google will get there, and it's still very early days on that side. But at the same time, like I was saying, that we see that it's a very different market compared to the mobile gaming, where 5G has a really key role to enable new kind of mobile gaming experiences when done with the cloud gaming based architecture.
Okay, now as somebody who's never ever been able to get online on my phone at King's Cross in London because the network's too busy, I'm interested in this question, and one of our attendees is asking, could you tell us some typical SLA and key performance indicator requirements for cloud-based games in terms of stuff like packet loss even, delay, jitter, and so on?
Yeah, of course, for a good cloud gaming experience, you need to have a working connection to the internet. We have a rule of thumb that as long as the end-to-end latency is below 50 milliseconds, you can actually have a very solid, very smooth gaming experience over mobile networks. Today, for example, I'm based in Finland. We have, of course, very high quality networks. Our main data center is in Amsterdam. And even playing over 4G network, I can get 25 millisecond end-to-end latency on my gaming experience. So it can be really great, but maybe on the SLA side, we are using public cloud. So the traffic is going through the public internet. So there's, of course, a lot of things that we can't control, or there's nobody who can give the SLA as such. But that's why we think this kind of edge computing and ultimately bringing our gaming streaming servers on the edge, for example, on the operator's own network, would then, of course, allow to ensure that there is very low jitter, very low packet loss, and the latencies are down to single-digit millisecond numbers. And maybe on the kind of experience still that what we've been experiencing, that the absolute latency is not actually that critical, whether it's 30 milliseconds, 40, 50, or 60 milliseconds, and so forth. The more important is that it's consistent, so that gaming being very kind of interactive real-time experience, if there's kind of, even if you have a very low latency connection, if you have this kind of hiccups where the latency suddenly peaks above 100 milliseconds or more, then you will feel those as a lagging experience in the gameplay. So that is something at this point we've been working with our partners we've been trying to make sure that the consistency of the latency is as good as possible, even if that would mean that the kind of the absolute latency is a bit higher. For example, when we partnered with Sprint in the US, what we did is that we did direct data center peering from our data centers to the Sprint core network, so that we avoided the public internet in between. And there's of course a lot of these things what you can do then to make sure that if you don't have the streaming servers on the edge, you can still optimize the end-to-end performance quite significantly.